Hello everyone, damenshi here, bringing you part 3 of Tempus. We have a lot of bases to cover, so let's get right to it. Something I want to say right away is that, from what I understand, some of you have actually been enjoying these, and I want to thank you for that. I appreciate that very much. I work hard on these, not to mention with just the game itself, but with actually making these videos as I do. So yes, thank you for that. Second of all, that mirror looks fine, I guess. It's kind of weird and otherworldly working, which I guess is fine enough, but perhaps sometime in the future I'll try and work my way around that. But for now, it works alright, I think. This boss battle... Actually, not just the boss battle. This cutscene took me some time to get to work properly. As I'm sure a handful of you are familiar with by now, I have the occasional BS cutscene I must work with, and they don't always function exactly like I expect them to, so that usually takes some retweaking. As of right now, I'm not sure how easy I'm making this look, but this boss battle has actually killed me a handful of times. It basically depends on how often the mirror, as it were, lands hits. Like, you'll see her miss a handful of times, I'm sure, but if she actually lands consistent hits, you'll take significant damage and probably die within a couple of hits. I mean, you saw just now, one strike can take out roughly half your health, so it's a high-risk, high-reward boss, I guess. It's pretty quick, though, if you get lucky, so... I don't know, I mean, part of me feels like it's a bit too fast, but it is an early boss, so I don't know. Yeah, this cutscene took some working, strangely enough. I mean, yeah, if you pay attention, you can probably figure out where I made little loopholes to get everything to flow properly, but I think it works alright for what it is. It's not a big deal or anything. Yeah. Quick boss battle finished, and we're on our way. Oh, I also want to say that while I had originally planned for this to be the last of the first chapter videos, this one does not quite reach the end, and it still has enough left over to warrant at least one more video. So that's probably what's going to happen, so expect a part 4 in the future, at the very least. After that, I plan to, as I've said before, go back and essentially build up the areas around here some more. Essentially construct alternative areas, optional areas you can go explore and probably find rewards in, because I like doing that. And then after that, I'll probably release what is the entirety of Chapter 1 as a demo, for those of whom are interested. That parallaxing sky. If I had the graphical capability, I would love to do, like, the ground, like, down below, as sort of like the fact that you can get a sense of how high you actually are by, like, these little tiny pixelated buildings and such. I bet I could. I probably won't do that anytime soon, but it's just something cool that if I'm bored one day and I don't have anything else going on, probably later into the game's production, then I might consider it. There's a lot of little things like that I actually want to do that are just small things. And that's probably to be expected. Everybody has tweaks that they want to make, so... Yeah, I returned to Salos for a bit to stock up, because I know what's coming, so... A first genuine area with a handful of enemy encounters. Weirdly enough, I didn't realize that the game essentially starts with a boss battle, that being Lucian in this case. And I did think to myself, does that work? I guess. I mean, I know games that essentially start off with a tutorial boss, but... I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it. But that's just me. That's that kind of overthinking that led to the game being as acceptable as it is. So I guess there's some merit to it. Anyone notice that the revival item is called Defib Serum? I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I think that was kind of clever. I'm sorry. I want to recognize my own clever moments when I have them, because I don't have that many. Yeah, the inn is actually open now. I actually constructed the interior. It's not exactly, like, the most complete area, as you'll see with the lack of doors and such, but it works. More astute viewers might also notice that I'm using a different font with this installment. I had it recommended to me by one of my associates, Mr. Terry Wood, and I think it actually looks pretty good. It looks significantly better than the old font, I would say. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but you know what? Every little aesthetic choice adds to the overall experience, so I'm gonna go ahead and call that a win. I'm trying to alternate between periods of, like, moving really fast and moving a bit slower to kind of take in the area a bit. I might have moved a bit too slow up ahead here. You might notice that I virtually do nothing other than move along with the story while I'm here in Nelican. To be expected, that's pretty much because the area is very incomplete, aside from what you have to do here story-wise. So, yeah, I'll have to go back and flesh this area out some more, but... ah, well. Just more stuff on the back burner that I need to take care of. It's not new or anything, and I don't really mind, so... whatevs. Oh, I'm using a new headset, by the way, a new microphone. I did some test recordings earlier, and it sounds nicer, I think. I'm not sure what you guys are hearing right now, but to me it sounds better. Sounds a bit clearer, actually. In any case, moving on. Yeah, I tried to get right down to it and see if I could actually warrant completing the entire chapter in this video, and no, I couldn't. Coming up, we have legitimate enemy encounters. Similar to the Tower of Speculum, they have predetermined spawn points, but I don't have any visual signifiers. Visual signifiers as to where they actually are, so they feel random. But I figured that didn't matter too much. If I really wanted to, I could go back and add something, but... as I seem to recall, games like Chrono Trigger that used this kind of style did have some that were essentially surprise attacks, so... weirdly enough, I actually intentionally tried to avoid some fights in this area, and still ended up draining my resources decently. And the enemies here aren't designed to be hard, they're kind of designed to essentially accomplish two things. One is to essentially stall you, as most of these random encounters are, and two, essentially just to kind of damage you bit by bit, because I don't design, or as of now, the enemy encounters are not designed in such a way that they are necessarily meant to take you down with just the one onslaught. They kind of whittle you down, which I imagine that's kind of what they're supposed to do in most typical RPGs and such. But they always feel a bit trickier than they... not that they should be, but I'm just rambling now. They do need a bit of tweaking, though. I think they could use a bit of strengthening. Not significantly, but maybe a bit. Especially since the other two enemies that exist in this area that you'll see later, I didn't change their attack graphic, and to be completely honest, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense with the two other enemies. But I'm not gonna lie, the enemies placed in this area are a little hasty. I kind of just went and did it, but I figured for demonstrational purposes it fits the bill. I gotta balance what can I do in a timely fashion while still providing a genuinely enjoyable experience, as it were. It's all about balance. It's all about decisions. I mean, and I always go back and make improvements. What you guys see in these videos and what I actually have like 10 minutes later are actually significantly different to an extent. So, like, even watching them now as I do this recording, I often notice things that I really should change. I mean, I mentioned this before, but as a result of it, I usually go back and make those changes immediately. So, by the time the demo is actually complete, I hope to have a genuinely solid, constructed piece. I feel like the combat system is kind of coming along nicely. I mean, I made a couple of changes since last time, and it's coming a little more solid. The enemies are functioning appropriately and such, so... And the damage feels right, for the most part. Tweaks can be made, though. Updates and tweaks and changes, etc. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and instigate a quick refreshing pause, and I will be right back momentarily. And we are back. After a quick healing session, getting everybody back up to speed, we move on. Trekking, continuing, and climbing the Silver Ice Mountains, hopefully in pursuit of better things. Or at least more plot. Because everybody needs more plot. I actually had this area constructed for a long time, honestly. For my old version of Tempus, actually, from the old videos, I actually had gotten this far with the areas and such, but as you probably remember, I didn't actually get this far with the videos at the time, so this area had kind of been sitting here for a while, and I'm glad that it saw some use. Though I did expand upon it a bit from last time. There's more to the areas now. I kind of felt like it was, it needed to be a full area, so I added more sections to it, and more maze-like construction, and I think it works. And for convenience's sake, you'll see probably in the next video, I do have a shortcut of sorts, so you don't have to trek back through this area every single time. Which is useful, makes things a bit more streamlined. Also, new attack! Yeah, once you hit level 10, they obtain new attacks. As is probably expected. As of now, I'm kind of constructing it so that they get at least one new ability every 5 levels or so. Speaking of which, they've been leveling up decently significantly quickly. I mean, as you'll probably notice ahead here, I level up after almost every battle. I know that's saying a lot, but whoa. I'm almost level 15 or so by the time I actually get up this area. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I'm following certain parameters when it comes to creating these enemies and such. So maybe it all kind of works itself out in the end. It just felt weird to level up, like, every single time. But perhaps it'll slow down eventually as I continue to climb through the ranks and such. But yeah, I noticed that. It felt really odd. I mean, you could probably hit level 20 after just a handful of battles if you're astute enough. I wager you could probably be level, 16 to 17 if you really went out of your way and did all the battles that are found here. But beyond that, it doesn't seem to affect too terribly much, because the enemies can still do significant damage, and it still takes roughly the same amount of turns to take them out, so maybe in the end it doesn't matter that much. It's interesting to see how this is actually coming together. At least from my perspective, watching it become what it is. It's odd to me, it really is. But it's kind of intriguing at the same time, like I said. Perhaps this will be one of those games where levels don't actually mean a whole lot stats-wise, because the enemies retain a certain amount of effectiveness for quite a while. I mean, see, look at that. Level up right off the bat. We're already 12. How the heck did that even happen? I actually get lost up here. I think I know where I'm going, and then I kind of get turned around and I end up like, oh, huh, I'm actually lost in my own maze. Something humorous about that. A man who constructs his own labyrinth and ends up getting lost within it. Even though I really should know everything. Yeah, these slimes, for example, like what I was talking about with other enemies, they need some buffing pretty badly. They can't do jack to your party right now. Not really, anyway. I mean, they weren't designed to be that strong anyway, but I made them abysmal. I made them abysmal. At least the most they can do is freeze you. But, I mean, that doesn't mean a whole lot if you're carrying items like I am, so... These guys need some buffing. It's, these slimes got gypped. That's also what I meant when I said I wasn't using the right attack animation for these guys. I actually hadn't gotten around to switching it yet by the time this was put up. So they have slash marks for some reason. Slimes have claws now, apparently. Maybe, maybe there's bones in there, and they, like, extend it with their gelatinous forms, raking you across your face with their claws of death? I don't know. I could try to make sense of it all day, but the fact of the matter is I just put the wrong animation on there. Yeah, they really shouldn't attack so often. I gotta change that. They really should focus more on their, not magic, but energy, I guess. Oh, I didn't level up from that fight. Okay. Alright, so it's not every single time. Feels a little bit better now. But it is still pretty frequently. As one might have noticed, I've actually also been changing the heavy amount of the amount of snow that is active at certain points. Like at the beginning, it was really light, but here, kind of like in the thick of it, in like the more prominent areas of the mountain, it gets heavier and darker. I actually ended up running into this trio of wolves more times than I would have liked. I didn't realize that taking the path I did, I'd run into them. Because there are other encounters placed out everywhere. I just, this is just how it happened to play out for me. I promise there are others. I promise there are other encounters. Because this is not it. This is not all there is. You saw with the slimes earlier, right? There's other encounters. I just got unlucky, I guess. Yeah. Bit of misfortune, but they're there. Yeah, I was trying to take like the least combat-filled route, but that honestly and obviously didn't work out. But, ah well. It's probably around this time that I realized I wouldn't be able to make the deadline I had quoted earlier with the whole finishing Chapter 1 in this video. Because these battles do take time. Significantly so. To be completely honest, I'm not sure if the next video will even be the full 20 minutes like these usually are. Though this one probably is topping around 23 to 25 minutes now. But yeah, the next one might not be 20 minutes. I might need to find something else to flesh out the space. Maybe if I can get another extra area put together. Just something to fill the time and show off one of the optional bits you could probably do by the time the demo's released. We'll see. Yeah, my resources are starting to be pushed now. I didn't realize how much I'd actually be taking damage-wise. In the end, though, I kind of felt like it was a good thing, like I said, because, I mean, the enemies are intended to at least deter you somewhat. And they accomplish that much. This encounter right here is basically utilizing one of every staple enemy type in this area. So now you kind of get an idea of what I was planning before. Though both the slime and the flower, the plant monster, do need some buffing. The wolf is fine, I think, but the other two need some steroids or something. Granted, that would probably make them weaker in the long run, considering that they probably wouldn't be able to take them continuously, but I digress. You know, considering how open the background looks for this arena, for this fight, is it kind of misleading? Because the mountains are supposed to be, the Silver Ice Mountains are supposed to be a bit more closed, a little more tight, as it were. I mean, you see the area outside these battles is pretty dark, significantly. So, I don't really think this background makes that much sense. But whatever. These take time. What's interesting is I found that you can't not pay attention either. Like, I am mashing attack, basically, but enemies can surprise you and do genuine damage. At least that's how it usually plays out, so... It's like a combination of paying enough attention to keep yourself alive without actually paying 100% attention. I do plan to make things harder, though, so don't expect it to be that way the entire time. Alright. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, I bid you adieu.